we put together a PowerPoint for you. But who's seen me speak before? Okay. Well, Jay, yeah, so Jay already knows what I'm going to say. We almost didn't make it. And part of it, I'm going to show you why, is that we were supposed to get here last night on Southwest Airlines. And what happened is that they canceled our flight. We connected in Denver from Salt Lake. We actually hit 6 different Admirals Clubs, if you can believe that or not. Here, I'll show you. So here we are. We went from, let's see, I think it's this one, Salt Lake City yesterday afternoon, connecting in Denver. Hey, Stefan. And we got this note here that says, oh, your flight got delayed. Now it's going to be 6 o'clock. And it's delayed again. Now it's going to be 7. And then now it's going to be canceled, right? And they said that they would not be able to bring us out to New York until Monday. And I said, but I'm speaking in New York at 12:15. There's no way we're going to, are going to have to go on another airline. So what happens in these kinds of situations is you got to go on another airline. So we were able to get American Airlines. But just to give you guys an example of where Facebook becomes powerful for you, where you can manipulate the media to get whatever you want. I'll give you a live example. The fact that we're even able to make this. Let me show you this. I will show you 3 or 4 different examples of how this works. Okay, I know it's kind of hard to see. Will Southwest Airlines, my favorite airline, rescue us? Their agents don't care that canceling our flight while we're connecting will cause us to miss the conference we're speaking at tomorrow. They won't help, and we don't even know where our bags are. So all I have is this backpack. All I have are the clothes that were in my backpack. So my bag, I don't know where my bag is. Maybe it'll come tonight, maybe it'll come tomorrow, right? And then I'm complaining about what happened. And the key here is that I boosted it. Now you guys know that. Okay, and if you look at all these comments, there's a ton of comments here and on my personal profile. This is a public figure page. Okay, you want to have both. You see, I got the blue check mark as a personal user profile, but I have a public figure page like you might have for your business. So you want to be able to use these in conjunction. Now, if you're doing something for a business, if you're an agency, if you're an author, speaker, coach, whatever, you still need to be able to figure out how to harvest the power off of your user profile, off of your customers, off of the individual people, and convert that into the page. So the status I wrote here was something along the lines of, I really love Southwest. I've flown 4.7 million miles in the last 15 years, but you guys really screwed this thing up. And now there's so many things here. Okay, here it is. Excited to speak at Affiliate Summit tomorrow on Facebook Ads. You got all these people that are liking and commenting, right? There's a lot of social proof there. And then I'm taking that post and sharing it from my public figure page, and then I'm boosting it to a saved target audience, okay? And that's what we call the $1 a day strategy. So you guys probably know, let's see what's a good example. Brian Eisenberg, right? Landing page optimization, this kind of thing. And he approached me a couple months ago, actually Jeffrey approached me saying, hey, you know that $1 a day thing you were talking about where you can use it to manipulate any kind of situation that you want? Well, my mom's got this problem where Sears came in and they were supposed to do some remodeling, but they screwed it up. It's a year later. My mom's got cancer. She's very ill. And she tried to write in. She tried to call in. It didn't work because no one listens to that kind of stuff. So I said, take the facts of what happened. That Sears was supposed to do this. This is how much you paid. They came in on these different dates. The inspectors came in and said that the stuff wasn't done right. They still didn't want to fix it. And put it on a random throwaway blog. One on WordPress, Blogger, anything, doesn't have to have any kind of traffic. Don't put it on brianeisenberg.com, but that's where it happens to be, unfortunately. But he did 90% of what I said, right? Took what was already there, already documented, took this URL, and then we created ads against it. So you should do everything inside Business Manager, by the way, right? Because that's how you manage all your assets. So if you come into your, well, let's see, this is the Warriors ad account, the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to actually, it's the first one that popped up, but I'll just pretend. So if I wanted to create an ad, and I wanted to promote that particular post, or I wanted to go directly to the URL, I could paste in that URL, add in my headline, image, all this kind of stuff. And the key with Facebook, you always want to start with creating influence, which is influencing the influencer. This is the Inception kind of model. If you go browse, demographics, work, employer, Sears. Now I've got 181,000 people that work at Sears, but I'm going to target Sears in Chicago. Management positions, people who are, so I'll show you another example. I have a throwaway blog that I test this on. I've done it a few hundred times. Not on this blog, but other ones, just to show you that this happens and how easy it is to fix. So long story short, Uber screwed up our trip. We nearly got in an accident. I got another Uber. It was surging on the way to a meeting that I had with Facebook, and it was $178, and they said, oh, too bad, so sad. We're just an app company. It's between you and the driver. If there's an accident, then it's their fault. It's their insurance. We're just, they're contractors and all this kind of stuff. And I said, are you sure? Why don't you escalate that, right? Are you really sure that's what you guys stand for? Because if I'm doing business with Uber, then I figure Uber should take care of me if there's a problem, right? And they said, nope, too bad, so sad. I took a screenshot. This article took me maybe 10 minutes to write. I took this, and then I promoted it to the people that work at Uber. And here they are. And then all the people that work at Lyft, because they care about that too. And all the people that work at the National Taxi Cab Commission, and all the people who work at the San Francisco Chronicle. So next day, got a call from the head of PR at Uber. We're so sorry, we're going to refund the thing. This is not the way that we actually do business. And it works every time, right? So they give refunds. The same is true for the Eisenbergs. See if I can find the Sears. Here it is, the Esther campaign, right? A few days later, Sears came in, and the president of Sears Home Services, Sean Kelly, Edward Lampert, the CEO of Sears Holdings. So we did all this kind of micro-targeting, right? And lo and behold, they said, here it is, we got the money back, right? Not in this email, but in another one. And my friend had a problem with Toyota where they screwed up the repair on his Highlander. They wouldn't fix it, escalated it. We did the $1 a day strategy, targeting people who work at Toyota in Japan at their headquarters, right? Not all the factory people that you want to hit, right? And it works. Next day, call from the Boulder dealer saying, look, we're going to take care of it, bring your car in. We're getting calls from all over, from Japan, from management saying what's going on. And that is the key of micro-targeting. It's workplace targeting. That is why boosting is so effective. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just give you 5 or 6 tips real quick, and then I'm going to give you some guides that you can follow up on. The key with, for our team, we probably boost, for our ads, 80 to 90% of our ads are boosts. We spend most of our time boosting from the timeline. We could talk about all kinds of tricks inside Power Editor, things you can do with API. There's automated actions where you can set CPA targets and turn things on and off and all that kind of stuff. But I think the most powerful thing is boosting, because that is where you let Facebook build custom audiences off of these videos, and then you remarket to these audiences in sequence. Okay? So here's the Golden State Warriors basketball team. They almost won, but that's okay. We will this year. We got Kevin Durant, right? And so here's a video, right? Now without the boost, we have 500,000 reach. That's pretty good. A lot of engagement, 78,000 views on 579. That's not a good enough ratio. I like to see a 30-40% ratio, because then I know it's going to take off, because advertising is really amplification. It's things that are working I'm going to make better. I'm not going to make something out of nothing. Now if I'm going to boost and do this properly, because most people say, oh, boosting doesn't work, that's for novices. I wrote articles about that years ago. Now look at this. We've got all these saved targets that are in here. And my favorite one, if I can find it, we call it the mega audience target. Oh, this is close enough. Mega media and sponsor workplace target, okay? This is everyone who works at now this is for the Warriors, right? Who works at ESPN, Sports Illustrated, Time. Not the people who read ESPN and Sports Illustrated, right? And all the sponsors. So Jamba Juice and Oracle and Uber and Virgin America and Wingstop and Kaiser Permanente and all these kinds of guys. This is about influencing the influencer. And this thing works so well. We do this over and over again. I think this audience is maybe 40,000, 50,000 people. But then we have just the people that write about sports. We have just the people that are Harrison Barnes fans. We have all the people that work at Pete's Coffee, because they're another one of the sponsors, right? And so we have tons and tons of these audiences. We have combo audiences, people who've downloaded the app, people who've been to the website, but we don't have their email address. We have their email address, but they haven't been to the app. They've been to the website in the last 180 days, but they haven't bought a ticket. They bought a ticket for the playoffs, but they're also a fan of LeBron James. All these different combinations of audiences, boosting those things, okay? And every time you have a post, you want to think about what the most powerful audience is to do this. Now, if you are tracking who is engaging with you, because you've got good community management and this kind of thing, then you can remarket to these people. So whether a user replies back or whether the fact that people watch this video puts them into a remarketing audience, because it does, that's the best remarketing on the planet, it's a video remarketing audience, right? Then you can, what are you, they watch this video, what's next? Figure out all your sequences. Just like an email autoresponder, what are your Facebook sequences? That's the number one thing that we see missing when people are trying to make Facebook ads. They have no sequencing, okay? They're trying to one-step, bottom of funnel convert. I'll show you one more thing, and I know I'm almost out of time. Sorry we started late, but I'll make it up to you. I created a guide for you. Let's see. So you guys know the whole Trump, Bernie, this kind of thing going on. So my buddy Michael Johnson, he has a friend who is a really good Donald Trump impersonator. In fact, you probably have seen his videos, Trump versus Bernie. Okay, he used this $1-a-day technique to be able to get this on every major TV show, like here's Jon Stewart, and on, like just example after example of all the different micro-targets, because the press, they're reaching out. And in fact, he wrote a little note to me saying, thank you, that just choose the award that you want. Check the box next to the award that you want, right? Here's Ad Week, there's just tons and tons and tons of where, when you can build social proof, so if you get something in a local magazine, then you're going to workplace target that to something that's slightly bigger, right? If we get in CNN, then we're going to workplace target USA Today and Wall Street Journal and Business Week and Forbes. So anything that you have that's authoritative. Think about, if you think like a journalist, how are you going to do this, right? So here's an article, 25 experts you should meet at PubCon or whatever it might be. I'll show you a couple ways just to manipulate the heck out of the media. Works so well. This absolutely is the most powerful thing I think there is in Facebook ads. It's using it as a PR vehicle. And yes, you can do conversions with remarketing audiences, but you've got to build these kinds of audiences first. So, here I am, listed in Forbes. I'm going to take this, I'm going to market this to people who work at Inc. and Entrepreneur and Fortune and Forbes and all this, and you've got to keep it inside a database, or you could keep call it an article library. So here, because you're going to have lots and lots of content that you're going to redistribute to Twitter, and you're going to do promoted posts there. You're going to boost the stuff on Facebook. So here's the WordPress logins that we have. Nobody take a screenshot. And here are thousands of articles that we have that are written by our team and by our friends based on different topics, not because of SEO, but because of influence. But there is a huge SEO impact when you have stuff on Adweek or Facebook site, right? Anytime we get a mention, then we're going to keep this here. When we track the clout score and page rank, and I know there's no more page rank anymore, but all of these kinds of things, I know it's really small, we're tracking these things. Think about where your power comes from in the funnel. Create sequences that you can amplify. And then when other people start talking about you, use that word of mouth, because their opinion is worth more than anything you have to say about your company, about how good you are at SEO or PPC or whatever. Who cares how, when you talk about yourself, that doesn't mean a thing. Who's the most authoritative? So if I want to talk about Facebook ads, who cares what I have to say? I'm going to use Facebook's blog and write on their blog about how the Warriors are driving a 29x ROI. And then I'm going to share our checklist and then how we did it. And here they link to Blitzmetrics, right? So if I want the highest authority, it has to come from whoever, if I want to sell, it has to come from the highest authority. by the most authoritative people, and then it has to be on the highest authority publication. If you have that trifecta and you boost it and you have video and you share it and you get quotes from Jay and Stefan and these other guys, and then you tag them, their audiences become your audiences, and you do this workplace kind of stuff, then you have real power in the funnel. Okay? And how are we doing on time? Like 2 minutes? 8 minutes. Okay, good. Now I'm going to open up a couple documents for you. What do you guys think? You guys doing that? Who's doing the workplace targeting and creating remarketing audiences? Like 3 people. I've talked about this I don't know how many times, and people don't want to do this. When we first started doing this back in like 2009 or so, I was afraid that this technique was going to die in just a few days or a few weeks, because people would find out that it was so good that it would just get competed away. But here we are. It's 2016, and people aren't doing this. This is media inception, right? This is playing chess when you're 8 steps ahead. If I can open this document. You know what? I'm going to show you another thing. One more. This is what happens when you don't have any sleep and you come here straight from the airport. So we created a guide for you, and it's how do you boost posts. And I'm not going to make you go through a lead funnel or any of that kind of stuff. Just send an email to jake@blitzmetrics.com, and you're going to get this guide. And this summarizes what we're talking about with tons of examples on how do you boost the right way. Because if you're going to boost the right way, you need authoritative content. People that say, oh, I tried boosting, it didn't work, or whatever, their content sucked, so their relevance score sucked. So it wasn't good enough that the influencers would share it, right? Because it was too self-promotional. It didn't have authority attached to it. So if you do this, you can multiply that on LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn gives you workplace targets too. They're just a little more expensive, and there's other things that are broken, and with the Microsoft thing, things are even more broken. So if you attach this to different points in the funnel, you can boost at different points there. And the funny thing is that most people think about the funnel as going really wide all the way down. If you're really smart about Facebook ads, it actually goes the other way. Because at the very top with audience, you're trying to hit the people that are the most influential. So those are really small. Lots of little audiences, because probably the number one question is how big do the audiences need to be? A couple hundred, right? Anything larger than that and you start to lose power. But the audiences at the top are really small because you're trying to influence a very small group of people that will write about you, and then you're going to boost what they have to say. So mid-funnel engagement is larger boosting. It's custom audiences. It's collecting their email. And then at the very bottom, when you're trying to drive more conversions, oops, that almost fell. You have lookalikes, and you have different other combinations that are much larger. So actually, in a smart social strategy, your funnel gets bigger as you get to the bottom. And most people think you start wide and you try to convert everyone down. It goes the other way, actually. And we got a ton of data to show that's the case. And ultimately, when people fail on Facebook ads, it has nothing to do with how well they know the Facebook platform. It's always something to do with the setup and usually with the content. Who's an agency? Okay. Who is direct at the brand, or you're the advertiser? Who's an affiliate? Okay. So usually it's a failure with the content. And I'll show you, because I think we got like 2 minutes, one more way to tell. If you want this, just send it to Jake. He's going to answer any question you have. Whatever document you want, we're just going to give it to you. We have internal documents on how we report on performance and how we organize things. We'll just, whatever you want, we'll just give it to you. I'm not here to sell anything, okay? Let me show you this. So we call this 6 phases the social amplification engine. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to open the one for the Golden State Warriors. We did $19 million of digital revenue this year at a 29 ROAS. And because we're boosting posts all day long, boosting video. And it's not just because you have a winning team, this kind of thing, right? It's because you have your plumbing in place. That's the first of the 6 phases. Tag manager, business manager, the MCC, not third-party pixels, all native stuff. These 8 phases there. And that plumbing enables you to track where your goals are. Meaning, You know what the ROS target is. You know what the overlap is between your email audiences, your app audiences, your web audiences, and what you need to be able to look at these overlaps, because the better you are at content marketing, the more likely you have an assist. The more likely that those YouTube promoted videos are going to drive more brand search terms that you need to be able to take credit for. If you don't measure that overlap, you have no idea where this stuff's coming from, right? So if you go through these phases in the right way, you're going to build tons of these custom audiences if your tracking, your plumbing is set up properly. Then you know how these different keywords are performing. Then you know down funnel how these audiences are then converting, because you're building bigger custom audiences, and those custom audiences convert. So for the Warriors, a fan is worth 70 cents, and when it becomes a custom audience enabled fan, they're worth $1.42 per season, and it costs us 3 cents to turn them into a custom audience. So you can see why the ROI is about 30, right? So you want to think about it that way. You can, in the same way you know what an email is worth because of how likely that email funnel is going to convert, you can say how much a remarketing pooled is worth because how likely that will turn into an email or to a sale. You can measure at every point in the funnel by calculating the relative probability to the next conversion step, right? And then you can build a demand curve off of that, build that demand curve into each of these different channels to calculate yield. So that way, when you're putting content out there, it's not just the whole spray and pray, oh, I'm just going to post 10 pieces of content every week, kind of nonsense, robotic, quantity instead of quality. It's how do I measure what the value is in terms of a good quality audience that does eventually convert, even if it's 6 months down the line, right? And so we know that season by season. We know what the overlap is. We know if they go cross-channel, meaning that there's cookie death, we can still track that. And if you do this properly, this is really small, but Jake's got this printed out for you. These are the the blue. The most important thing today is if you want to optimize your Facebook ads, and we've looked at thousands of accounts since the very beginning, you are going to have a problem in the setup. The problem is always in the setup, right? Where the plumbing's not there, or you don't have the goals, content, and targeting, right? Goals are what's the CPA, what are the intermediate funnel goals? Content, do you have content at every step in the funnel? Targeting, do you have your custom audiences that go back to that plumbing? It is very rarely in your ability to, because people will say, oh, how do I bid? Do I bid CPM or CPC, or how do I game the system? Kind of like a Google, how do you trick them kind of thing. You want Facebook to do the work for you. If you set up your goals, content, and targeting, this will work for you, okay? So Jake at Blitzmetrics.com, or message me, Dennis at Blitzmetrics.com. Happy to give you all these. We printed out a bunch of stuff for you. There's a one-page that summarizes these 6 phases, and then the boosting $1 a day media Inception, we have another document. So we're here for you. Thank you very much.